Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode 112. We have a great show planned for you today, and I'll remind you in a moment about our awesome contest with Hotels.com. We're giving away a $250 gift card each week for 4 more weeks. So we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. On this week's show, LG talks with us about its 49-inch computer monitor. That, my friends, might be bigger than your television, but this is designed for your PC or Mac. We'll also talk with OfferUp this hour about its online marketplace, a very popular one where you can buy or sell items locally, clean out the clutter as we perhaps wind down for the summer and make some cash in the process. And finally, we'll talk with Square about what's new with them. You know that little white square often inserted into a smartphone when you want to pay someone some money with your credit or debit card? Well, we'll learn what's new with them. All of this and more is coming up on Tech It Out. Before we chat with LG about its massive computer monitor, we do have that awesome giveaway that I want to tell you about a couple times this hour. And it is running until the end of September, so 4 more weeks, including this one. Now, this is where someone's going to win a $250 Hotels.com gift card to put toward any hotel stay that you want through Hotels.com, the app or website. We're giving away 1 per week. Again, in total, it's been 8 weeks, but we're going to give away the 5th one shortly. Here's how to be eligible to win. And it is open to anyone in the U.S. aged 18 and older. All you have to do is as follows. Go to Twitter and follow Hotels.com. Type a sentence on why you could use a little getaway and include the hashtag #TechItOut. That's it. A name will be randomly drawn. I'll announce it on the show next week and on social media as well. And if you want to read the full terms and conditions for this giveaway, it's on my website, marksaltzman.com. MarkSaltzman.com. There's a limit of 1 entry per person per day, per week, but no purchase is necessary. A purchase will not increase your chances of winning. All right, let's get on with Tech It Out. Now that back to school time is here, students should know there is some seriously cool tech that you can take advantage of to help you get your work done and perhaps have a little fun after school hours as well. Joining us to talk about a great pick for your dorm room or maybe a home office, and that goes for moms and dads too, maybe getting back to work this time of year. We're joined by Danielle Chen. She's the National Corporate Account Manager at LG Electronics to talk monitors. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Nice to be here.
All right. Purchasing new tech for the back-to-school season has become a norm, especially this time of year. As we head back to work, regular routine or school life, what would you say is a must-have device that LG offers?
So for back to school or back to work season, a must-have device is our 49-inch ultra-wide curved 5K resolution monitor. This device is ideal for photographer, video editor, graphical designer, stock trader, program coder, or for anyone who is doing multitasking to boost up their productivity. It is also one of the best-looking monitors out there with easy and ergonomic design.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 49 inches for an ultra-wide monitor. I mean, that is huge, and I can see the benefits of being able to multitask, having all those windows open at the same time, which we know students are very comfortable doing. So it's good for work and play, right? So during your 9-to-5 school life, if you will, you're doing research online, you're writing maybe a book report or an essay, you're maybe chatting with your classmates when you're not actually in class, but you've got like a chat window open up. And then for your 5 to 9 downtime, you could take advantage of this big monitor, especially if it's in a dorm room, as an entertainment device. So you can be watching TV shows and movies, maybe some YouTube videos, playing games, looking at photos, that kind of thing.
Yes, I know it is big, right? But think of having a 2 of the 27-inch on one 49-inch screen without any bezel. Like you mentioned, photographers or videographers or prosumers often have to switch between windows. They have multiple apps opening at the same time. You all just need extra space for working with timelines. So with this super 49-inch ultra-wide curved monitor, they can have multiple apps open simultaneously without connecting bezel and have a far superior experience.
Yeah, so you're right, though, Danielle, that a lot of students and just regular computer users, they do like having a dual monitor experience. They like having two on their desk, either because they're multitasking or, as you said, if they're into art or animation, photography editing or video editing, they may use one monitor as their palette and the other one as their canvas. And then you can drag and drop between the two. But now with having a 49-inch ultra-wide and curved monitor on your desk, it replaces the need for having two 27-inch monitors, which would be the equivalent. And again, as you said, no bezels, no border or any sort of distractions between you and your content. That's pretty wild. Now, I understand that the monitor, Danielle, also adjusts itself based on the brightness in the room. Can you explain that?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned it. It is for automatic brightness control. So the LG ultrawide features on ambient light sensor that reacts to light and also adjusts the brightness of the screen to create this optimal display in any environment. It is like having a photo detector that is used to sense the amount of ambient light present and dim the screen according to the light. So it's like having a little AI built onto the screen. It's a great feature for anyone on a deadline and forced to work from the afternoon to late into the evening.
Amazing. And I know LG has comparable technology in their TVs. So obviously you're leveraging that kind of ambient sensor to know what the lighting conditions are in the room and then delivering you an optimal view of your content, whether, again, it is for work or for play. And you said earlier it's an ergonomic monitor. So if I remember correctly, because I have spent some time with this a couple of months back, you can adjust it accordingly to best suit your chair height or, your viewing angle so that it minimizes any sort of wear and tear on your body, right?
Yeah, correct. So you can adjust the height, can do the tilt, swivel, and also it's a VESA mountable.
Okay, yeah. So you can mount this if you want, and it works with it's the VESA compliant or Visa compliant VESA. So this is something, it's a universal standard. So you can buy a mount not just from LG but from other companies as well.
Yes.
Okay, great. Danielle, can you explain the difference between HDR or high dynamic range and HDR10 and how it can help students aspire to be a better photo or video editor?
Certainly. So HDR, as you mentioned, it's a high dynamic range, is the current standard for 4K content. So it aims to create a realistic picture which is closer to that seen by human eyes, right? This means you see a wider range of colors and depth in contrast between lighter and darker shades. Besides, just balancing colors and contrast, this technology combines dimming and adjusting brightness levels to produce pictures at the highest nit levels. HDR10 in this case is a newer standard of HDR, which helps improve picture quality by sending static metadata to a video stream, which is encoded information on color calibration setting required to make a picture look real. So in a nutshell, HDR technology is applied to various content, and LG ultra-wide ensures viewers can always enjoy the dramatic colors of the content with lifelike detail.
Okay, so HDR10, it is an enhanced version of high dynamic range that offers better color reproduction, better contrast ratios, which is the difference between the whitest whites and the darkest blacks, and better brightness. So all the benefits that you would want, right, for sure.
Precisely, yes.
You said earlier, Danielle, that it was a 5K monitor. So I think our listeners are familiar with 4K. These are these televisions like the LG OLED and other models that have 4 times the resolution of HD. So 8 million dots, if you will, instead of 2 million. But you said this is 5K. So this is like even more detail. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so the 5120 by 1440 resolution we call a 5K resolution. Basically, it gives a double pixel space on one screen. So you see a clear picture. Right. You see more, lifelike detail on the 5K monitors.
It's probably not just for video, like if you're watching, Netflix for fun, but even when you're looking at text on this monitor, because you're dealing with so many dots or pixels that make up the image, we're talking incredibly crisp text as well. So it's very good even for words on the screen, like a word processor.
Precisely.
We're chatting with Danielle Chen, National Corporate Account Manager at LG Electronics. We're learning about this beautiful 49-inch ultra-wide and curved monitor for work and play, whether you're a student or you're going back to work full-time in the fall. Now, it sounds impressive, Danielle, with all the specs that we've been going through, and I encourage our listeners to Google 49-inch LG ultra-wide curved monitor, and so they can see it for themselves. But with all this technology, how easy or difficult is it to set up? Do you need like a degree in computer engineering to get this to work for you?
Not at all. It only requires a single mouse click away for the setup. There is this on-screen control software included with the monitor will enable you to control various display settings. Screen split will help you divide the whole display area into 13 different templates to choose from, including PIP, which is picture-in-picture.
Right. Yeah, I
Very
like that.
simple to set up.
And students, again, I'll say this again, if you've ever watched your tween or your teen working, they have several windows open. It's very comfortable for them to multitask. And now you've got so much real estate in which to work with 49 inches. You can really get more done in less time. So is there, Danielle, a website that you'd recommend? I said earlier you could Google to see it in action, but is there a website where we can learn about pricing, store availability, and to see this monitor visually?
So to learn more about the LG 49-inch ultra-wide curved monitor, please visit lg.com.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time, Danielle. Happy back to school season to you.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for listening to Tech It Out. We'll be back shortly when we chat with OfferUp. But first, a thank you to ASUS, the title sponsor on this program. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops called ZenBooks. You can learn more at asus.com/US/radio. That's ASUS/US/radio. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out. Stay with us.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. This program is powered by ASUS. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops and desktops, monitors, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and more, including their line of gaming gear called ROG, or Republic of Gamers. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio. ASUS is spelled asus.com/US/radio. Online classified sites and apps are super popular as they can not only get you a great deal on things that you want to buy by leveraging your local community, but you can also get rid of things that you no longer want in your home and make some good money in the process. Today, we're going to learn about an increasingly popular marketplace called OfferUp. Joining us on the line to chat is OfferUp CEO Nick Huzar. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Thanks, Mark, for having me.
Of course. So why don't we dive right in? Please tell us, our listeners, about OfferUp. What's it all about?
Yeah, OfferUp is the largest mobile marketplace in the United States where we make local buying and selling as easy as just taking and sharing a picture from your phone. We've been installed about 85 million times, and we're one of the top 4 shopping apps in the U.S. So, again, our focus is to make buying and selling as simple as it possibly can be, and it's all powered by the mobile phone.
Okay, so you take a photo of what you want to sell, such as a bike or an old iPhone or something. And is there some AI, like artificial intelligence on the back end, that's identifying what you're photographing, and then you can add some extra words and pricing and things like that manually? Yeah,
we do a little bit of that. So our focus is to make buying and selling simple. And so when you take a picture of an item, we try to learn as much about that item as we can so we can help you, suggest categories, for example. But posting is really, really easy. It takes maybe 30 seconds to make an item discoverable on OfferUp.
Okay. And I know there is a website as well. Like I'm looking at the site on a web browser. So it is available for desktops too, but it's primarily focusing on mobile.
Yeah, we're very focused on the mobile phone and all the advantages that a mobile phone brings, such as the convenience of being in your pocket and being able to take a picture quickly. All the communication back and forth is wrapped around chat that's built into the app, so you're not having to give out your phone number or your email. Mm-hmm. You can even include maps in chat, so when you want to conclude the transaction, you can decide when and where to meet. We make that easy. And on top of that, we also have built-in payments, so you no longer have to visit an ATM and deal with the headache of carrying cash around. Now you can just walk up to somebody, hit a button on the phone, and instantly pay them all through the OfferUp experience.
That's interesting. So I was going to ask you next how OfferUp differs from other online classified solutions like LetGo or Craigslist. And it sounds like the payment one may be unique. Can you walk us through some of the differentiating features of OfferUp compared to the other sites and apps?
Sure. Yeah, there's a few things I think we've gone very deep into. One of those is all the things we do around trust and safety. And so when you're bringing millions of people together every month, trust is extremely important to the platform that we're building. So, we invested in a few different areas that we think are very important for people. Number one is just building out a basic profile so you understand who are you dealing with and having ratings at the end of every transaction. And we really want to understand, are people showing up on time? It's one of the biggest complaints we hear on all local marketplaces that, buyers aren't always showing up and sellers aren't always showing up. So how do we build reputation and really make sure people understand who they're dealing with when they come face to face? I think the other thing that we spend a lot of time on is our community meetup program. We now have almost 2,000 of these around the country, and they're these third-party locations for people to meet. It's anywhere from retail stores to law enforcement. And so when you're chatting back and forth with an OfferUp, you'll see that we're suggesting these community meetup spots. And those are all different locations through various folks that we partner with. And the goal is to make that just a more convenient and trusted place for people to meet. We also do quite a bit, like I said, in the world of payments. We're really excited about the future and mobile payments. And not only does that reduce friction, but we also think that helps with establishing trust the way that we built it. So it's a feature we called hold offers, where you are committing to actually buy the item by putting in some form of payment. And then when you show up, you're releasing the funds. So we're pretty excited given we're the first in the U.S. to bring this to market. Mm-hmm.
We're chatting with OfferUp CEO Nick Huzar, learning about this increasingly popular online marketplace that you use an app or maybe a website to connect with other buyers and sellers. Now, so Nick, when you use an app to buy something instead of cash, is that, like you said, sort of like a placeholder, or is there like an OfferUp currency whereby if I sell my bike to somebody for $80, I then get like an OfferUp credit that I could use then to buy something else through the app?
Today, we're simply facilitating, payments, back and forth. So, for example, you can use Google Wallet, Apple Pay. These are all options that are currently built in. Okay. It's very early days for us. So there's a lot of headroom and things that we want to continue to invest in, again, to further simplify the end-to-end experience for our customers.
Okay, got it. Thanks for the clarification. And we will continue to chat with OfferUp after this short break. We'll learn a little bit more about the service and what makes it stand out from the likes of Craigslist or Kijiji or LetGo and other similar online platforms. And also, when we return, I'll remind you about the Hotels.com contest. It's a really good one. I do want to thank Western Digital for their support on this program and their super rugged G Technology branded Armor ATD portable hard drive. It's designed for those looking for a durable drive to bring on the go, especially for content creators like photographers and videographers. Go to g-technology.com for more information on the Armor ATD portable hard drive. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out when we continue chatting with OfferUp. Stay with us.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. Before we continue our chat with OfferUp, a popular online marketplace for buying and selling items, I do want to remind you about our huge contest with Hotels.com. You can be eligible to win a $250 Hotels.com gift card for a free hotel stay. Or 2 nights, in fact. If you're a legal U.S. resident who's at least 18 years old, here's how to enter. Number 1, go to Twitter and follow Hotels.com. Number 2, send a tweet with a sentence on why you could use a free hotel stay. And number 3, include the hashtag TechItOut. the name of this show. That's it. We'll randomly draw a winner and read it next weekend on the air, and I'll announce it on social media as well. Speaking of which, the winner of last week's contest was Soluna Rain from Ventura, California. Congratulations. I did wish her congrats on Twitter. Soluna Rain from Ventura, California. You're the winner of a $250 Hotels.com gift card. All right, let's continue on with our interview. We're chatting with OfferUp CEO Nick Huzar, learning about this increasingly popular online marketplace that you use an app or maybe a website to connect with other buyers and sellers. Can you walk us through the process as a buyer and then again as a seller? Like, just take us right through everything for those who are listening and intrigued by this.
Yeah, happy to. So as a buyer, we really built OfferUp to be a discovery-based experience. And so when you open up OfferUp, it's going to know roughly where you're located and show you a variety of things that are located all around you. Anything from a car to clothing, furniture. I mean, you name it, you're going to be able to visualize what people are buying and selling, all around you. And so you can simply click on an item that you see, and you get a little bit more information about that item, such as price and maybe more of a description about what the item's about. You can read about the seller. You can see roughly where the item's located. And then you can decide, do I want to ask a question or do I want to just simply make an offer on that item? At that point, you're engaged in chat and you're communicating back and forth with the seller and hopefully figuring out a time to meet. So it's really, really that simple on the buy side. There's ways to click into different categories and search. And we even have a little bit of personalization based on how you use the product. But that's generally how the buy side works.
Got it.
Yeah. So from a seller's perspective, I use the story of selling my dad's car. So my father had an old Miata in his garage, been sitting there for literally over 10 years. He just wanted to get rid of it. It was pretty much parts. So I posted it on OfferUp, and I got a whole bunch of engagement right away. And the challenge, of course, is, is somebody actually going to show up and purchase this car? So I had a few people no-show on me, which was frustrating. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, this one gentleman used our new hold offer feature, and he said, I'm willing to, buy the car. And he showed that he was, committed by putting in his credit card behind his offer. So I agreed to sell it to him, and we were just chatting back and forth, and I shared the location of my dad's house all within chat, so I'm never having to give out my personal information. He showed up and inspected the vehicle, and we, talked about it a little bit. It was really actually kind of had a deep connection to it. I took my date to prom in it. So it had been sitting there a long time, but it was time to get rid of it. So, he looked at it. He didn't have to deal with all the headaches of going to the bank to get cash. Instead, he literally just hit a button on his phone and he paid for the car, and I handed him the keys, and it was probably the fastest transaction I've ever had in buying and selling a vehicle.
Wow.
So that was really a great experience. I think for him as the buyer, made it easy, but for me as a seller, it couldn't have gone more seamless. And again, that's part of what OfferUp is all about, is really taking that end-to-end local experience and making it as easy as we can.
Just as we wrap up, Nick, what's the revenue model for OfferUp?
There's two big areas that we've focused on as a company. Number one is promotions, and that's just simply making sellers more successful. So how do we get them more visibility? How do we help them to sell things faster? On top of that, we actually sell quite a few vehicles. In fact, we estimate about 10% of the used car market in the country was facilitated on OfferUp last year.
Wow.
And so we have a program for auto dealers, and we help them to be more successful on OfferUp as well. So we charge anywhere from $200 up to $2,000, depending on the size of the lot. And we're just having a great time signing up dealers at the moment and helping them to sell cars faster. We're finding that when a dealer signs up on OfferUp, they sell cars, typically 30% of their cars within 2 days and 50% within a week. So it's really working well for them. And then the second piece is our payments business. And that kind of has two different flavors. One is in-person payments, which we've talked about a little bit today. And the second one is our shipping business, which we take a 10% transaction fee on. And that's simply to help people, buy and sell things, not only locally, but also anywhere across the country.
Oh, so you offer that as well, kind of like an eBay, where it's a marketplace whereby you would ship the product to somebody somewhere else.
Yeah, so the way we have incorporated shipping, and again, the goal goes back to the focus of the company, is to make transactions as simple as possible. And so, with shipping, how it works is you post an item as a seller on OfferUp exactly how you would to sell something locally. And then there's simply an option to enable it for shipping, which helps you to not only maybe, sell it on a local level to somebody that may not be willing to get in the car for the item, but it also exposes you to a national audience. And so when people engage, on that item that you're posting, now you simply, once you accept somebody's offer, you get a label in the mail, and you're able to, stick it onto the item and actually, ship it versus meetup. And so we've seen a lot of success from people not only locally, we've also seen a lot of small merchants using this as a way to reach new customers via the platform. And so we're pretty excited about this business. It's one we launched about a year ago, but it's got really strong momentum, and we're continuing to invest in this area.
All right. OfferUp, I'm assuming it's a free download for both iOS at the App Store and Android devices from Google Play. And then the website is simply OfferUp.com. Thanks so much for your time, Nick Huzar, CEO of OfferUp. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark, for having me.
Hey, when we return on Tech It Out, we're going to chat with Square, a company best known for that little white square that's often inserted into a smartphone or a tablet, and you swipe your card or tap your card, whether it's debit or credit, in order to make a payment, like in a taxi or in a small restaurant. But they've got a new machine, a new terminal for customers that they're going to chat with us about. Again, it's from Square. That's coming up shortly after this break. And one last thank you to ASUS, the title sponsor on this program. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops, desktops, monitors, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. Stay with us. You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. Hope you're having a great weekend. Despite my small cold, which I'm almost over, I'm doing great. Sorry for the nasal voice this weekend, but I'm on the up and up. And hey, I'm going to the Apple event in Cupertino, California on Monday for Tuesday's big day. Of course, new iPhones are going to be unveiled. The iPhone 11, allegedly called the iPhone 11, and maybe a few other products as well. And super stoked. And I'll give you, of course, a full report on next weekend's Tech It Out with all the big announcements and analysis from the big event at Apple's HQ on One Infinite Loop is the address there. So I'm really excited about going. So I'll fill you in next weekend. All right, let's continue on with Tech It Out. While you might not know it by name, you've likely paid for something like a cab ride or a sandwich at a small restaurant by having your credit card or debit card swiped into a small white square, usually connected to a smartphone. It's called Square, and the company is now giving merchants a larger terminal with a touchscreen and some other bells and whistles, all for taking payments and giving receipts. And according to the company, it's secure, reliable, and what they call is a fairer way to get paid. And what does that mean for you as the customer? Joining us on the line to tell us more is Jesse Dorogusker. He's the head of hardware at Square. Welcome to the show, Jesse.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
Why don't we start off with like a very high-level look at the company and your technology? What is Square all about?
Sure. So our mission from the very beginning has been to get the tools of commerce into as many people's hands as possible. People who have typically been left out of the financial system, have been excluded from something as basic as credit card acceptance. And from the beginning, we focused on something that is affordable and simple for a very big number, surprisingly big number of businesses all over the world who need the tools of the modern era.
So it's been said, Jesse, that good technology solves a problem. So how does Square fit in here? What was wrong with the other way of doing it, like having a merchant visa or something like that?
The initial problem is that many millions of people were excluded from the basics of credit card acceptance. And even though everyone was carrying around a supercomputer in their pocket, they still weren't able to accept the billions of credit cards that were in consumers' hands. That very basic access to the rails of commerce is the problem we set out to solve.
Okay. And even if they did have all that set up to use a credit card or debit card, they often have to give a pretty healthy percentage portion to the credit card issuer, correct? But with Square, from what I understand, the merchant gets to keep more in their own pocket. Is that right?
So the traditional banking system signs businesses up to an incredible array of fees and contracts that are dizzying. Different rates for different cards, contracts, breakage fees, compliance fees, security fees, all which not only add up, but are incredibly confusing for businesses that are small or growing over time. So we have insisted on very simple flat rate pricing for credit card payments. It still costs us money, and our customers pay for a per payment fee, but there are no additional complicated contracts that they have to contend with. That's been a real breakthrough in accepting more people into the system.
All right. Thanks for the clarification there, Jesse. So as I mentioned off the top, I was introduced to Square as a little square that was, usually inserted into a smartphone. I think you've gone from like swiping to tapping, but have you abandoned that little Square reader in favor of these new terminals, or is it both?
Sure. The Square reader continues to be a big part of our strategy to reach businesses that are otherwise excluded from commerce. They have a very low cost and simple way to get started, even if they're a casual or seasonal business. And that continues to be true. What we're adding with the Square terminal is an appeal to larger businesses with more complex needs, either multiple locations or multiple employees, businesses that can't or don't want to be dependent on a smartphone or tablet, a personal device for running their business day to day.
Can you give us an example of a kind of business that would benefit still from that Square reader, the little white one, as well as those with this new terminal?
Sure. The Square reader is an incredible mobile device, fits in your pocket, pairs to any smartphone or tablet. You can use it wherever your smartphone has coverage. You can use it to break down long lines. You can do it on the curbside. You can really do it anywhere, and it's great for that mobile use case. The terminal is for larger businesses that don't want to hand out a personal phone to their employees, that don't want to hand out their iTunes ID or Google Play Store ID to their employees or store manager, who are looking for a dedicated device that runs the day-to-day operations of their business.
All right. Thank you for that. We will continue chatting with Square for the second half of this interview. We'll learn a little bit more about the Square terminal. Maybe you run a small business. I do have many small business owners who tune into this program, either on their local radio station or on the podcast. So I would love to know if you think there's value in this as well. You can always send me a note on social media. I'm at Mark Saltzman, MarkSaltzman, or on my website. If you want to email me privately, you can do so at marksaltzman.com. Be curious to know your feedback if you use Square and what you think. Speaking of what you think about Square, you can also tell me what you think about the program. Maybe you've got some feedback on Tech It Out, a guest you'd like me to tackle in an upcoming show. Not literally, I'm not a big guy. Or a topic you'd like me to tackle. Maybe let's just put it that way. Or if there's something you like or don't like about the program, I'd love your feedback. We started this in July of 2017, so it's a relatively young show. I guess in tech years, it's been around for a long time. But I'm always up for improving and getting your feedback. Or even if you have a tech question, I always do my best to write back to listeners. We all know technology can be overwhelming and intimidating, so you can hit me up privately or publicly. And one last reminder for the last 30 seconds we have on this block about the Hotels.com contest. You can be eligible to win a $250 gift card from Hotels.com. If you're a legal U.S. resident who's at least 18 years old, here's how to enter. Go to Twitter and follow Hotels.com. Send a tweet to them with a sentence on why you could use a free stay in a hotel. And finally, include the hashtag #TechItOut. That's all you have to do to be eligible. We're going to randomly draw a winner 4 more times. We've already given away 4 of these prizes, and we do have 8 in total, so good luck. 1 per week. You can enter once per day to be eligible for the random draw, and no purchase is necessary. We will be right back with more Tech It Out on the Radio American Network.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We are chatting with Jesse Dorogusker. He is the head of hardware at Square. Could you explain, Jesse, what this Square terminal looks like? Is it similar to those contactless terminals that we may get handed to us at a restaurant to tap or insert our card? And what are the benefits as consumers for us to use these devices?
So the payment terminal is a utility and a benefit for sellers, but the way we've designed our Square terminal is also very focused on the buyer, focused on the consumer. First is that they can pay whichever way they want to pay. Credit card, debit card, contactless, contact, Apple Pay, Google Pay, pay with your watch. All of those things are supported on our terminal. Second, Our terminal is built on modern technology, so it has a big, bright, beautiful touchscreen that consumers can actually read. And they can do that without their glasses, and they don't have to squint. They don't have to have good light. They can actually read what they're being charged. They can look through an itemized list of what they're being charged and know that they're being treated fairly. In addition, because, again, it's a modern system built on software, they can enter their email address or phone number and receive digital receipts instead of that piece of paper that you fold up and put in your back pocket. So it's a real modernization of the traditional payment terminal.
So I understand the last two benefits, having a larger screen and choosing an email option if you want to go paperless, but not sure if I understand the benefit to the first reason that you mentioned.
Sure. Many terminals are capable of all of those forms of payment, but some of them don't support it. For example, there are some payment systems that don't support American Express cards, and that's a business decision on their part, and that's because their supply chain charges them different amounts for American Express. That's one of the reasons we have a blended price, so we don't put that burden on the buyer or the seller to have a strong preference on a rewards card or an Amex card or any other kind of card, so they can pay with whatever they want. Particularly in a market like the U.S., where contactless is newer, we still see many, many places of business that don't support contactless, and even though people are walking around with Apple Pay and Google Pay, are left stranded.
Sometimes my kids leave the house without cash because they just assume everywhere has tap to pay because they've got funds loaded on their phone, right, through their bank account app. But yeah, very funny. We're chatting with Jesse Dorogusker. He's the head of hardware at Square. We're learning about a new Square terminal that is being rolled out across the country. Can you talk to us about the user experience when using Square? You mentioned earlier that it was easier to see. Is there anything else that we should know? And maybe you can walk us through the process about what we see as consumers when it's time to pay.
Sure. Well, the entire device was designed with consumer sensibility and usability in mind. It's beautiful to look at. It's simple to hold. The screen is very easy to read. All of the prompts are super clear. And it's built on software, and we issue free and seamless software updates every 3 weeks to make sure that we're refining the user experience, fixing any little glitches, and taking information back from the field and being able to incorporate it into our product. The experience of paying, the mechanics of it will be familiar to people who have paid with cards, but what they'll get instead are clear instructions, a lot of transparency on what they're paying for. They don't have to squint at a tiny monochrome screen and try to make sense of what they're being charged. And then they can have confidence that they're being charged amount and charge the right amount and given a receipt the way they want to receive a receipt. These things are all things you could envision on a modern computing system. And unfortunately, most payment terminals in the world don't offer a modern computing system, and we do now.
Do you still support the MagStripe? Like if your credit card or debit card doesn't have tap?
We do. MagStripe technology is supported on our system. It is indeed quite old, but it's a really good backup so that the seller can always make a sale.
So we went from swiping to inserting to tapping, but I think there's still a limit on how much you can pay with tap. Do you have to rent or buy the terminals?
Terminals can be purchased outright for a fixed price or also purchased in installments to spread those payments out depending on how the business runs. We have not typically rented our terminals. We've seen this as a tactic that traditional providers use to get you to pay for your terminal many times over its lifetime, and we don't think that's very fair.
And is it just as secure, that transaction, as the existing terminals that you may use?
Absolutely. We were founded as a payments company. We've always taken payments very seriously, and we meet or exceed everything the industry expects of us.
Finally, Jesse, what's next for Square, and where can we learn more about these new terminals? Maybe there's some small businesses listening that would like to embrace those.
The best way to learn about what we have to offer in hardware and software is at square.com or square.com/shop to see what hardware we're offering these days. You can always learn about the latest and greatest technology and also what our sellers are saying about our products.
All right. Jesse Dorogusker, head of hardware at Square. Thank you so much for your time. Nice to chat with you.
Thank you, Mark.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning into Tech It Out each and every week, whether you listen to us on your local radio station, maybe you subscribe to the podcast. Thank you for that. And the Tech It Out Interstitial, a 1-minute daily segment, runs also nationally and also on Sirius XM on the When Radio Was show on Radio Classics 144, I believe, which is very cool. Thank you to Hotels.com and to Asus and Western Digital and all the amazing partners we have on this show. And good luck in that Hotels.com contest. If you go to Twitter, follow Hotels.com, tweet why you'd like a free stay in a hotel, and add the phrase Tech It Out, and you will be eligible for a $250 Hotels.com gift card. So good luck to you on that. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Catch up with you next time on Tech It Out.